everyone. Good afternoon. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining. You're welcome to one of 3 sessions of Communicator Extraordinaire. It promises to be an exciting time. Of course, we'll be learning a lot around communications, and our facilitator, who I'll also introduce later on, she's seasoned, and we are all in for a lovely time. So welcome again. My name is Titi Omole, and I am one of the directors of Course for Children Limited. Course for Children Limited is the organization. We're not for profit. It's the organization that is bringing this training, workshop, call it whatever you want, to learning platform to you. We are not for profit, and our mission is to continue to empower our young people to thrive. We do this in so many ways. We have workshops like this. We have award ceremony for young people where we celebrate them for their efforts and achievements. That is called True Little Hero Awards. We do that annually. We've been running that for about 6 years now, 7 years. And it's going to happen again this year. So look out for that. We're going to open our website, www.truelittlehero.com. We're going to open that for nominations in August. So be sure to go there, nominate yourself, your friend, or ask your uncle and aunties, whoever, mom, dad, to nominate you or your friends for any of our awards category. We also have, and that's me there in the previous slides. We also run a workshop, so that's me there. And you can see that our event, our organization, they're quite endorsed by notable people in the society. So you've chosen a good platform to join this afternoon. I spoke about workshop training. We've been doing this for a while now, and we've received remarkable feedback. What you can see there are feedback that guys like yourself gave last year regards to, we had this session, something similar around communication delivered by the same facilitator last year, and it was phenomenal. You can see those comments there, that have been shown to you. So enough of talking, but before we start, I'd just like to talk us through quickly the ground rules. Of course, it's a positive platform, so we speak to each other nicely, we're kind to each other. If you would like to speak, we'll ask that everybody mutes themselves so that we can have a beautiful experience. And if you would like to speak, you can raise your hand up, and then the facilitator will mention your name, unmute yourself, give your contribution, and then you please mute yourself back again. Also, we'll ask that if you don't like, because we're recording, if you do not want your faces to be seen, you can switch off your camera. Otherwise, please feel free to switch on your camera if you would like to, but it's not mandatory. We ask that we be respectful to each other, speak nicely, and if anyone makes any positive contribution, well, either verbally or in the chat, please let's go in the chat especially, and just leave positive comments for them. It's just a platform that we all want to be happy and learn something new. And I also want to urge everyone to please use the chat box, learn, communicate through the chat, but don't be quiet. Even if you're not talking, your chat can say a lot. So please use the chat box to communicate. Now, enough about me, and I'm going to hand over to your facilitator today, and that will be Juliana Olayinka. Over to you, Juliana.
Thank you so much, Titi, and thank you, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining today. I've got to say, I've done quite a few things that are exciting this year, but this has got to be one of the most exciting projects because I really love to impart knowledge, and I do enjoy speaking to all of the children and the wider family of the Cause for Children. Should we call it a congregation or an audience? So thank you. My name is on the slide, Juliana Olayinka. Welcome to the Communicator Extraordinaire course. Some of you may have been fortunate enough to be at our course last year, which, as Titi said, was absolutely excellent. Hundreds of people registered. It was actually oversubscribed, and we had some really wonderful feedback. We were able to learn so much. I'm hoping we will be able to do the same. Just a little bit about me. You can see two images there. One is me speaking with a prince. Yes, a member of the royal family. I do a lot of news, high profile discussions, and I can also do light-hearted discussions. So the other picture is me in my previous life as a kind of TV host, speaking to lots of fabulous women across the country about various issues that affect everybody. I have been a journalist for, goodness, 15 years now. I've worked in TV, I've worked on radio, I've worked in print. I've also done dialogue for the African Union, the United Nations, as well as on behalf of the British government. So I do hope that all of my experience, I can kind of put it in a little box and share it with you all today. So that's just a little bit about me. We are going to do a quick survey, very important. You guys know more than me because you're all younger than me. It's very important that we capture data so that Titi and her team can make sure that they're offering you the best products going forward. So please, 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 if you've got your phone, get out your phone and go to your camera and use your camera to take a snapshot of this data scanner image. And that will take you to slido.com. Slido is spelled S-L-I-D-O. So if you can't take it with your picture, just go into your browser very quickly and type in Slido. Once you do that, put in hashtag COMXRA. So that's hashtag COMMXRA. There's just one or two questions. It's literally going to take you about 60 seconds. How we're going to communicate effectively is we're going to use the chat box. So just let me know, like Titi has put it in the information. So either use your camera to take a picture of this. You don't even have to take the picture. I think as soon as you put your camera on that, scan, it will take you to Slido. Just fill out those questions. Again, this is for you. This is so Titi and the Cause for Children team can make sure that they're offering you the best courses. And I can guarantee you these are life-changing. So make sure you do that. And what I want you to do, as soon as you've done that, in the chat box, just write done for me. Done. Just write D-O-N-E if you've done it. So as soon as we start getting those coming through, I'll know when to move on. So if you can please do that, right. Brilliant. Anel Legrand Otu has done it. It is Extraordinaire course. Communications, as I said, isn't just necessarily being a journalist or being on TV. If you are going to exist in this world, you have got to learn how to communicate. You've got to be confident. You've got to be talking facts, and you've got to make sure you're able to express yourself in the right environment. And you have to do that absolutely anywhere. So what I'm hoping we are going to achieve, or what we're going to cover, is we are going to cover world-class communications. That's exactly what we're going to do in this session. Basically, if you're going to communicate with somebody, who is it about? What is it about? Why are you doing it? When is it happening? How do we participate? Those are the basic pillars of communication. Who, what, why, when, how. And we're going to cover that today. Next week, we are going to look at post-pandemic communications. Yes, the world has changed. Some things are always going to be the same, but the world has evolved. And I want to make sure that you guys are aware how the world has shifted pre-pandemic to post-pandemic, and you can maximize these changes. Lastly, we'll be looking at how to navigate new social media. There's so much. There's TikTok. There's another one. The name has just skipped me. If you guys remember the audio one, what is it called? It's the audio chat. It's the audio chat. Anyway, there are so many new social media networking, not YouTube, no, gosh, YouTube, no, not YouTube. There's Clubhouse, that's it, Clubhouse. Yeah, somebody said monkeys, see, there are so many that I don't even know about. So we're gonna make sure that we cover all of those sessions. SoundCloud is another really important one. Okay, so we're going to go through the goals of the course now, and I do like to start my sessions with a quote, and that is, you can only achieve your dreams when you start believing in yourself. Yeah? If your mum or your dad or your auntie or your sibling has forced you to be here and you're not interested, you're not going to get anything out of this course. You must start with an open mind. You start with an open mind and you believe that you can absolutely achieve anything you want, then you can. And I know that might sound a bit cliche, a bit cheesy and sleazy. No, that's a fact, yeah? If you believe it, you can achieve it. And I'm testimony to that, okay? So what I want to make sure you achieve by August, by the time this is done, is I want you to identify your key communication skills. We're all going to be different. Not everybody is going to be able to stand up in a crowd and speak, but you may be able to speak to somebody better on a one-on-one basis. I want you to be able to articulate yourself in every setting. One of the things that holds a lot of people back is you've got a lot to say, you don't know how to say it, or you're a little bit frustrated and it doesn't come out well. It comes out in anger or attitude. We're going to learn how you can express yourself, but in a proper, articulate way. I want you to also master the art of creating engaging content. Very important, especially in this new social media age, so many different platforms. You need to know what works best for what platform and how you're going to be able to express yourself perfectly. I want you also to discover how to attract your dream role. Really, really, really important. That goes back to the opening statement of anything that you want to achieve, you can achieve if you believe in yourself. Okay, so we're starting now, and these are going to be, from a very long list, 3 main things I want us to discuss, and these are tips to becoming a world-class communicator. So we can chat with each other in the chat box. There will be an opportunity for us to engage with one another. Now, the first thing that is important if you want to be a world-class communicator is getting your facts straight. If you are somebody that wants to communicate on the main stage, be it at the United Nations, be it for government, being for the local council, being for your school organization, anywhere, that is not a gossiping platform. If you are going to express yourself properly, you don't do it with gossip, you do it with fact. Can you believe every single thing you read? Not always. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between real life headlines and made up ones, especially on the internet. With every single thing you read, you need to be asking yourself, who made this? Who made this? It doesn't mean because you've seen something on WhatsApp, even if you've seen something that looks to be really authentic, maybe you've seen a video and somebody maybe has been assaulted, or maybe you see a video that says, oh, Prime Minister Boris Johnson is a racist, or maybe you see a video that says, oh, your head teacher has said a racial slur to a student. Always think about the other side. Always think about where this came from. There is something called credible sources. A credible source is somebody who is a believable person, somebody who you know that their background seems to be something you can say is pretty decent, not somebody that is known to be a gossiper. Always ask yourself when you're receiving information that you want to spread, where has this information come from? Do your research. Read credible mainstream news outlets and websites. That doesn't mean that you always have to get your news or your information on Sky or BBC or any of those websites that you would rather not. You can actually get a lot of your information and your news from blogs, Instagram, Twitter, but are these outlets credible? That is really, really important. If you're somebody that just likes to deal with gossip, then you won't worry about that. But if you want to be a world-class communicator and you want to speak to people that are at high levels, you've got to make sure that where you're getting your information from to speak to the person is from a credible website. Any single time I hear a news, whether it's about something happening with international politics, whether this is something to do with Black Lives Matter, I'm not just going to read it from one place and say, yeah, that's the story. I'm not just going to look at something and say, wow, that person is really angry, that means this person must be bad. No, I'm going to make sure I've checked all of the information. That is absolutely important. And if I want to stress one thing going forward from this course, is that's what I want you to remember. Don't just take your facts from one place. It's especially important in this fake news era. Is the story missing key information? Remember, it goes back to who, what, where, when, how. If you finish reading a story about Free Palestine, for example, or if you've been reading a story about Black Lives Matter, is there another side to that story? It doesn't mean that your opinion may change or how your feelings are, but you cannot just base your facts or opinion on one source. Think before you speak. That is very, very important. Sometimes I can be really, really annoyed if I'm driving. It's a very hot day today. I could be driving around in the car. I'm really hot. There might be a slow person in front of me. In my head, I might want to go, beep, beep, move. Can you get out of the way? You so. I'm not going to do that. Why? Because I want to project a very good image of myself. So you are able to have feelings and you are able to have thoughts. You don't always need to express that, especially when your emotions are heightened, and especially when it comes to communications. Always think before you speak. This is a life lesson, and this isn't just a lesson for 12 to 18-year-olds. This is a lesson for everybody. Okay, I have a very quick video that I want to show you. And before we get into the video, what I want you to do, and I want you to do this in the chat, I want you to list 3 things that you are going to do to ensure that you are not spreading false information. We know how dangerous fake news is. You think something has happened at your school just now, but really that video that somebody shared with you is 3 years old, but you've shared it now and so much anger is being caused. Just think about what you're going to be doing now that I've just broken down some of the things you need to look for, and you're going to watch this video, what you could do to stop fake news from being spread.
Well, here's a 5-step process that I've used with students. A word of caution, it's not perfect and there are probably other models out there, but I thought I would share it just in case you might want to use it. We call it the 5 C's of critical consuming. Number 1, context. Look at the context of the article. When was it written? Where does it come from? Have the events changed since then? Is there any new information that could change your perspective? Number 2, credibility. Check the credibility of the source. Does the site have a reputation for journalistic integrity? Does the author cite credible sources? Is it satirical? Is it on a list of fake news sites? Is it actually an advertisement posing as a real news story? Number 3, construction. Analyze the construction of the article. What is the bias? Are there any loaded words, any omissions, any propaganda techniques? Can you distinguish between the facts and the opinions? Or is it merely a bunch of speculation? Number 4, corroboration. Corroborate the information with other credible news sources. Make sure it's not the only source making this claim. And if it is, there's a good chance it's not actually true. Number 5, compare. Compare it to other news sources to get a different perspective. Find other credible sources from other areas of the ideological or political spectrum to provide nuance and get a bigger picture of what's actually going on. When we teach students media literacy and they learn how to consume critically, they learn how to think critically. And critical thinking citizens are good for democracy.
Okay, guys. So what I want you to start doing is I want you to start listing things. I want you to list 3 things that you are going to do to make sure that you are going to get your facts straight. And not only about sharing information online, but when you speak, what kind of things are you going to start doing to ensure that when you are speaking, you're speaking from a place of truth rather than speaking from a place of gossip? And we know what gossip can lead to. I'm really looking forward to see. Okay, so Ara has said that she or he is going to check to see if it's reliable or right. Good. Okay, Angela is going to find out where the video came from. That is a really, really important point. Really important point. Some more points. Okay, Malik says he's going to make sure it matches up with multiple sources. Perfect. Have a trustworthy source. Perfect. Fantastic. These are basic things, guys. Really basic things. Pierre says, check multiple resources before informing others on the subject. Yep. Check whether the sites are credible and view different types of sources to get a bigger picture on the topic. Again, these are really basic things, but I'm telling you guys, the vast majority of your friends, even people I know, even in their 30s, yes, I'm in my 30s, they don't do that. They just spread information. Sometimes somebody can share a video that is 10 years old, but that's how they are deciding to communicate. So if you want to be a world-class communicator, you can no longer do that. You've got to make sure that, right, do you know what? I'm going to make sure that this information I am going to use to speak or write is credible, okay? Really, really important. Okay, we are going to have a tiny break now, but not much of a break because we haven't really been online for a long time. But what we're okay, let's get back into it. We're talking about world-class communications, and this is session 1. We've just spoken about getting your facts straight. No point talking if you're gossiping. Communicating and gossiping, completely different things. So we've just, I hope, clarified that. Now we're going to talk about massive thing, I think, especially for you teenagers, non-verbal communication. What is non-verbal communication? Non-verbal communication is doing everything but talking. There are a few areas that we use to communicate non-verbally. First of all, facial expressions. The human face is extremely expressive. We can convey countless emotions without saying one word. Happiness, anger, fear, joy. It's almost, oh my goodness, there are a lot of people that say, oh, this is just how my face is. You know, somebody will say, oh, is everything okay with you? You look really upset. I just got one of those resting faces. No, everybody has an opportunity to change their face. Not always. Sometimes, you know, things do happen and it's okay to have feelings. It is okay to feel anger as long as you're not expressing your anger on anybody. It is okay to be scared and it's okay to feel joyful and happy, but you need to think about how you're conveying yourself in front of people. If, for example, the head teacher comes into your classroom or the head of year or the head of your college, or you're going to an interview and you're sitting in the reception, are you going to be sitting in the reception with your face like this? No, you could sit in the reception, you could sit up straight, you could have a pleasant smile on your face because you know what you want to convey. You've got to be very important and very, you've got to have your intuition on what you want to convey at each setting. Facial expressions are there's no excuse. There's no excuse. Everybody is able to change their facial expression. Body movement and posture. I touched on posture just a minute ago. Think about the way you sit, walk, stand, and hold your head. Sitting straight is a sign of confidence. You've seen people on the street sometimes. How many times, be honest, and I want to know in the chat room, how many times have you been on the street somewhere and you've seen somebody walking and you've crossed the road? If you have, say yes many times. Exactly. They've not said anything to you, but there's something about the way they're walking where you're like, you know what? I actually want to be across the road. Really important to be aware of how you're walking, your posture. If you're just sitting there like that, you're going to an interview and you're like this. They're probably going to think you're bored, or yeah, they'll probably think you're bored or you don't care. When you are in a very important setting, and it's worth practicing when you're not in an important setting, just sit up straight. Sit up straight. Walk with your head held high. Walk with confidence. It's going to make a big difference, I promise you. Gestures, wow. This includes waving, pointing, and using your hands when arguing or speaking excitedly. I've used my hands a lot. Some people can use their hands to do this when they're talking to people. If you see somebody doing this, okay, so let's use a scenario. You're going to an interview and you're late, and the receptionist says, I'm so sorry, but the gentleman is in another meeting. And you're like, yeah, but what do you mean? I'm coming from here, blah, blah, blah. You may be explaining a genuine reason why you're late, but you're using so many negative hand gestures that they feel quite intimidated. Be very careful of your hand gestures. Somebody said, when you're in an important setting, always watch your posture. Thank you for writing that, as Isata, and confirming that. But yes, with gestures, just be very careful. Different things mean different things in different societies. We know in a British English society, it's rude to point. So you don't necessarily have to say, yes, it's over there. You can explain, or you can show a wave of hand, but really start thinking about what you're doing with your body movements, because people do judge you a lot. Eye contact, wow. This is an especially important type of non-verbal communication. The way you look at someone can communicate many things: interest, affection, hostility, and attraction. There's no reason why you should be giving people dirty looks. You can speak to somebody and hold their gaze. If I'm speaking to you, if I'm speaking to anybody, I expect them to look at me in the eyes. You don't have to stare at somebody like this, but at least you can look at them in their eyes, and then you can look away, and then you can look back at them again. If somebody's talking to you and they're just like this, or can you imagine if I was doing this and I was on my phone? Yeah, so this is one of the things we've got to do. You'll be thinking, hello, is this girl interested in me? Eye contact is really important, and it's a sign of respect. It's a sign of respect. If your teacher's talking to you and you look at her, it shows that you're listening. There are other emotions that are conveyed through eye contact as well. Interest. I'm interested in what you've got to say. Affection. You can be affectionate towards somebody, showing by the way you look at them. Hostile. Again, that's dirty looks, isn't it? There's no excuse for giving people dirty looks. Use your eyes to show that you're interested. Use your eyes to show that you care. Use your eyes to show that you respect somebody. If you're sitting in a classroom and you're not necessarily the A-star student, but when your teacher's pointing on the board and they look and they can see that you're looking at them, they are going to give you more marks for effort. I can guarantee you that. I can promise you that, because you're showing, this is how you're communicating with the teacher, okay? Very important. Take the eye contact one very seriously. Touch. Think about the very different messages you can give in a warm handshake, a bear hug, and a controlling grip. I would say it's best not to touch people in a professional setting, even in school, but if you're friends with somebody, you're able to touch them. We do not endorse and we do not advocate physical violence. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If you push somebody or you barge somebody, you're basically a bully and you're assaulting them. So that's a no-no anyway. But there are ways that an elbow bump. Yeah, exactly. Elbow bump. They were doing that at the G7. The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was giving an elbow bump to Joe Biden, the US president. You can do that. That's a friendly gesture. Also a bear hug, you know, you haven't seen your friend for a long time and you want to hug them. Oh my God. Sometimes you don't hug somebody, you don't talk, you just get the, Can you understand how that just conveys an emotion that words cannot? Space, woo, important. You can use physical space to communicate different messages. Affection, aggression, dominance. Space. Most people like their space. Of course, over the past 12 to 18 months, we've been talking about the 2 meters, haven't we? Then I believe it's like 1.5 meters. Now, who knows where we are with space, but it's good to give people their personal space. But also as well, again, you can use space to intimidate people. Why would you want to do that? You can be dominant and you can be aggressive. I think in a professional setting, if you want to be a world-class communicator, you give people their space when they're talking to them. You don't try to intimidate them when you're too close. How many people feel that sometimes when people are too close to you, you feel uncomfortable? If that's ever happened to you, just let me know in the chat box right now, because that's happened to me before. You know, you're like, oh my goodness, me, yeah. And you know what? Sometimes, Anil, Pierre, the person doesn't mean to, but they just don't understand the rules of non-verbal communication. So they can be all up in you and you're like, oh, okay, you're trying to be friendly, but can you give me a bit of space, bruv? So just be aware of that. Once you're able to master these ways of communicating, people will start gravitating towards you. What I want us to do now is I want to look, oh, let me pause that. Who is this person? Let's see if you guys know. Let's see if I've got the right crowd. Who is this lady in the video? Oh, Anu has no idea. Isata, okay, they all know. Maya Jama. So Maya Jama, very, very popular presenter, and she is known for having a certain personality trait. This is an interview that she did with Glamour magazine, which is a really, really popular global magazine that talks about beauty, fashion, lots of different bits and pieces. What I want you to do, I'm going to play 30 seconds of this video, and I want you to list 5 personality traits of Maya Jama just by watching this video. And you can see she's not even interviewing anybody. People are interviewing her. So just watch this video and tell me, I want you to start listing. I want to start seeing what you think of Maya Jama's non-verbal communication skills. You can start writing. No sound, yes, no sound, because I want you to, we're not focusing on her voice, we're focusing on her non-verbal communications. So what do you pick up from her? What do you pick up from her? What do you think, if you were looking at her, what would you think about her personality? Is she somebody you would want to be close to? Do you think she's somebody that's nice? Do you think she's somebody that would want to beat you up? Like what is she somebody that you would cross the road? Is she somebody that you think if there was a job and they were looking for somebody who was fun, is she somebody that would be hired? And remember, we're not even listening. I mean, we're not even listening, we're watching. Okay, we've got loads of stuff here. She seems funny. She's always smiling. She's optimistic and happy, friendly, energetic, polite. She seems like someone who's creative. Eye contact. Thank you for saying eye contact, Kenya. Have you noticed she hasn't even looked down once? Even if she probably doesn't know what she's saying, she's still focused. Mature, cheerful, bubbly, good, and hand gestures. Exactly. Okay. Right, seeing as we playing it, I'll just play the last little bit now.
I love it. Beauty rules I live by is sleep is your best friend. Doesn't matter how much makeup you've got on, if you're knackered, you will be able to tell, so try and sleep as much as possible. It's a note to myself as well. And yeah, cold spoons, so a spoon in the fridge in the morning when you've got puffy eyes, put the spoons on your eyes for about 2 minutes, decaf. My perfect date night is...
So so do you think listening to her just for those few seconds kind of matched what you felt about her personality when you didn't hear her? Exactly. Just lighthearted, fun. You know, sometimes we don't think about this. We don't think about how people are viewing us when we're not talking. So please, 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 this is fundamental, guys. You've got to start thinking about who you are and what you want to put out about yourself to the world. And that starts from before you even open your mouth, okay? Right, another exceptionally important value to become a world-class communicator. Listen, you've got to listen. Face the speaker and make eye contact. Do your conversational partners the courtesy of turning to face them. Put aside papers, books, the phone, and other distractions. If you are speaking to somebody, you have got to listen to them. It's exactly almost like what we were saying about eye contact before, but you have to make sure that you are at least focused on the conversation. I think you guys are all aware when your parents get really upset when they're trying to talk to you and you're on the phone. I explained to you last time that if I was having this a session with you and I was on the phone like this, I'm sure you would be pretty upset and you'd think that, okay, Juliana doesn't really care or she's not really interested. And I do care and I am interested, which is why I'm looking directly here, because I know you're looking at me. So let's respect whoever we're speaking with by listening to them through the eyes. Be attentive, but relaxed. You don't have to stare at the other person. Be present and pay attention. Like I said, eye contact and listening and the non-verbal communication, it doesn't mean you need to look at somebody in the eye. Oh, the baby in the background is making you smile. She's making me smile as well, but she has to go. So go. Okay, good. Go upstairs. Great. She's making me smile too, but I'm focusing. So yes, you don't need to constantly stare at somebody because I think that's a little bit weird. You can be confident and attentive, look at them, focus on them, but you are able to look away anytime that you need to. So be very, very relaxed, and that comes through a lot of confidence. Keep an open mind. Listen to people without jumping to conclusions. The speaker is using their language to represent their unique thoughts, okay? Not everybody is going to say something that you absolutely agree with. If you are a world-class communicator and you want to take communications into a career, like I said, whether you want to work in government, whether you want to work for your local council, whether you want to work for a support group, whether you want to be a journalist, you want to be a media person, you want to be a high-level diplomat, you cannot be judgmental. Again, you are able, of course, we all have our thoughts. I have my own thoughts, but that doesn't mean when I'm listening to you, I'm going to think, oh God, she is horrible, man. Or, oh my goodness, how could you do that? No, I'm listening, I'm learning. I'm listening to your story. I'm learning. I'm showing empathy. You can never be somebody that can communicate well if you're constantly going to judge people. Do you know why? When you're having all those terrible thoughts, like, oh my God, this girl is just like, oh, it's going to show on your face. And remember, we spoke about non-verbal communication. And so if your face is very expressive, so if you're listening to someone and you're like, oh God, the person's not going to want to talk to you, you listen. Sometimes it goes back to what we were saying about touch. Sometimes you can give somebody a touch. If somebody's telling you a really sad story, you can give them a hug. Really important not to be judgmental. And I know that's very, very difficult. But you treat others how you want to be treated. And if you're going to be a world-class communicator, if you're going to be somebody that speaks facts and doesn't gossip, if you're somebody that wants to climb the corporate ladder and be the best that you can and get an absolutely amazing job and be at the top of your field, you've got to learn to get along with people. And how you do that is when they talk about things, you don't judge them. even if you disagree, because that's exactly what happens in governments across the world. They're able to articulate themselves, they're able to listen to the other side, even if they don't like it, they're not going to judge them, they're just going to respond in their own manner. There's a way of doing this stuff without it turning to beef, without it turning to arguments, without it turning to fights. Learn to listen. Did you all get that? I want to hear some yeses, because I can't see you. So I just want to make sure you all understood that point. Do you all understand the importance of that? Good, I'm happy, guys. Right, who, oh, you can't see the lady, but do you guys know who Zizi Mills is? Okay, mainly no. Okay, so Zizi Mills, I've interviewed her a couple of times. She is very, now I would say, pretty high profile Black British presenter. She's mostly been interviewing lots of rappers, but she interviews a whole host of people. She actually interviewed Sean Bailey, who was going to be Mayor of London. He ran alongside Sadiq Khan, and he lost. But one thing, because I've studied Zizi a lot, and I'm like, why is Zizi so popular? Zizi could put a video on YouTube and she would get hundreds of thousands of views in 24 hours. And one of the things I realized that Zizi did exceptionally well is she listens. She listens to people. When people come and speak on her show, she wants to hear what they've got to say. And when they do say something, she now responds to what they've just said. There's no point having a conversation with anybody if they're going to say something and it goes in one ear and comes out of the other. You've got to be able to retain some of that information to start speaking back to them. So this is a little snippet of an interview she did with a lady who had been on Love Island. I'm going to play this. This is obviously not the full interview, but I want you to pick up some skills from this, because you can see they're from two different worlds. This girl is a young girl who went on Love Island. Zizi Mills is a local girl from the ends, but the girl, you can see she's smiling, she's happy, because she had a platform to just talk. And if you're a world-class communicator, you lure people in, you allow them to talk like Oprah Winfrey does. So let's listen to a snippet of this.
I remember before I went on there, I said to my friend, like, how unreal would it be if I come out with like 10,000 followers? I was like, how good would that be? And she was going, yeah, but like, you only really get that if it gets to the final. Was the link visible to other people, or was it kind of like a you thing? When I first found out it could be cancerous, I was in shock and I was crying, and I went on social media, and I shouldn't have done that because I hadn't even told my family yet. It looks kind of like a love bite. I can't believe they're only 22. That just blows my mind. Everyone says that. She was 21 when he was in Love Island. Doctor's receptionist really rude. So there's an experience like that. I was scared to call her doctors and get my mum to say call her doctors, because most people be like, that's a bit weird that your first thing was to go to social media instead of like letting your family know. I don't even know where, I can't even tell you. My head was like scrambled and I was like, oh my god, guys. Like, I was going to say that you're now just in the public eye all the time. Yeah. Like, you literally can't do anything. As soon as you walk into that villa, that's it. Your life changes. Everyone changes towards you. Yeah. Like, there's some weird hatred towards Love Island. I don't know what it is. But why do you think they haven't reached out to you? I don't know. It's weird because we were so close in the villas, then coming out and then just like zero contact.
Okay, so who thinks that they had a good rapport? Who thinks that the girl from Love Island felt relaxed talking to Zizi Mills? Yeah? Do you think that she felt relaxed? Exactly. And that's because Zizi was listening to her. She wasn't just asking her questions. They were having a conversation. So no matter what level you're at, you need to have direct conversations with people. What I want you to do now, guys, is this is the last task, is I want you to list 3 questions you would ask your favorite celeb or a personality to get some information about them. That's what I want you to do. I want you to write this in the chat box. I want you to write down 3 questions that you would ask your favorite celeb or somebody high profile. It could be Barack Obama, it could be Beyonce, It could be Central C. It could be me. It could be Fredo. I don't know. Who do you guys listen to? Tion Wayne? You know, just what would you ask? That's what I want to see. Russ. Okay. What would you ask Russ for the care? I want to see some questions, guys. What inspired you to do what you do now? That's a good question. That's a good question. And that is something you'd have to really listen to. If somebody was to ask what inspired you to do what you do now, and you respond, what they say back to you, you need to ask them a question from that. So it's a conversation that flows. You need to listen. RDJ, what was your favorite movie you starred in? Okay, RDJ, I don't know who RDJ is. Isata said, who inspired you? Do you think you'd achieved loads of things in your career? What's your favorite moment of your career? Lewis Hamilton. You'd get a lot of information out of that. A lot of good listening skills would need to go into that. Where did you start? Where did you begin? Yeah, where did your career start from is always good. Folliker says, I'd ask them if they're confident in what they're doing. Good question. And if they would mean, somebody said, who inspired you to inspire others in communication? Ah, Serena, that's a good question. Elon Musk. Okay, Anil, I'm liking the goals. I'm liking the goals. I'm sure you would get to ask Elon that one day. How did you build Tesla to where it is today? Why did you choose to rebuild Tesla? See, these are the Robert Downey Jr. Okay, when did you first get interested in AI? Wow, is Robert Downey Jr. interested in AI? I never realized that. But you get the gist. You get the gist. You've got to, you can't just ask cold conversations. If you're having a conversation with somebody, you've got to engage them. You've got to constantly engage them, and you've got to prepare for the comeback. That is how you become a world-class communicator. You've got to speak fact. If Zizi Mills was having a conversation with the young lady from Love Island and she said, oh, I can't believe you're 30. No, I'm not 30 actually, I'm 22. Zizi Mills obviously would have done her homework before she spoke to that girl, and she wouldn't have gone to one page because the girl already said that she has haters. So she's not just going to go to one area. She would make sure that she goes to a multitude of different areas. So at least she's got a combination of questions. She also, her body language. You can see that Stacey Mills was very relaxed. She was relaxed like this. She was talking to her. She was laughing at some of her jokes. She was interacting with her. You can see that they had a good rapport. So that was communications extraordinaire for that genre of information, okay?
I remember when before I went on there, I said to my friend, like,
but we won't be watching it again. Okay, this brings us to our assignment for this week. We're actually a little bit early, so I think next week I'm going to have to make sure I jam-pack the session. I'll jam-pack the session, or next week we are going to be looking at our assignments anyway, but I will make sure that the session is more jam-packed. This is your assignment for the first week, and you must complete the assignment. We don't joke with assignments. We don't joke with assignments. Right. What I want you to do, what me and Titty have decided that you guys are going to do for this week, is you are going to produce a 60-second recording of yourself speaking passionately about a subject of your choice. This can also be written. So if I was going to be doing something like this, I would either make sure that my phone is set up perfectly, or I've got my friend or my brother and my sister holding the phone. I would make sure whatever message I would be conveying is expressed in the video. So if I'm going to be having a discussion about politics, perhaps I might wear something quite smart. And perhaps I make sure that before I start spewing, I've read. Can you make a recording longer than 60 seconds? I think 60 is good, Serena. Do you know why? Because it's discipline. And 60 seconds, believe it or not, is actually quite a long time to speak on camera. It may not seem like it is, but it is. But let's see what you've got. But yes, if I was having a conversation about politics, I would make sure that my posture's right. Edward is asking, is a voice recording work? A voice recording would work just fine. If you want to show your face, you can. If you don't, a voice recording is fine. and it can also be written. But I want to make sure when you're talking, you are going to have your facts straight. Facts straight means you're going to tell both sides of the story. Even if you don't believe in the other side, still show that there is another side to this story. So it can be about politics, it can be about social development, it can be about your local area, it can be about school, it can be about your situation with COVID. How should we show you? You are going to show us, Sophia, by sending it to causesforchildren@gmail.com. causesforchildren@gmail.com. Whether you've got an iPhone or whether you've got a Samsung, I know there is always an option to share your footage. So once you press the share button, you should be able to send it via email. Really important. This is going to just be a very good way for me and Titi just to see how you communicate, bearing in mind what we've just discussed. Even if we take away the listening skill and you think about your non-verbal communications, your posture, can you speak about motorsports? Absolutely, of course you can speak about motorsports. If motorsports is what you're passionate about, then we definitely want to hear it. But I want to hear you articulate yourself as well. Let me tell you a little story. I am from East London, and I'm proud to be from East London. And when I first started in journalism, even after I'd finished college and after I'd done my first degree in journalism at the London College of Printing, I can remember any single time I wanted to go and present on the TV, I would always have somebody in my ear telling me, Juliana, you didn't pronounce this right. Juliana, it's not 3, it's 3. And I used to feel pretty bad about that. I would definitely not feel confident, and I would learn how to articulate myself. Now, for example, when I had the interview with the Prince, a lot of people are saying to me, oh my goodness, Juliana, you can articulate yourself so well. How did you learn this? So be yourself is what I want to, try to explain to you. Just be yourself. But I think, as long as you can be your best self, that's the most important thing. And if you want to make sure that the best people find you, and you want to make sure you're smashing through the best doors, you've got to learn to speak well, get your posture straight, and express yourself. If you want to go in the field a bit like Maya Jama, then I suppose you don't need to be so solid and stiff. You can have a little bit more personality about you. But remember space, remember face, and hands. I promise I'm not trying to give you an NHS COVID advert, but hands, face, space also does work with communications. Okay. Is everybody clear on that? Is everybody clear what we need to do? Yes. Okay, I want at least 10 yeses. I want at least 10 yeses from different people. Okay, great. Great. More? 2 more yeses from the silent ones. 1 more yes. Not 2 yeses from the same person. Okay, great. Feedback time, guys. Feedback time. I'm not sure. I'm going to ask Titi. Titi, did everybody go to Slido? Or were there still some people that didn't go? Because we really need this information, guys. Like I said, Titi throughout the year has so many courses like this, as well as the True Little Hero Awards, which is coming up. So it's really, really important that we have all of your information. Use your camera and make sure this is a separate piece of information. So either go to slido.com or use your camera to take a picture, and that way it's so, oh my goodness, it's so advanced now, isn't it? It's so advanced. You just scan this and you're exactly where you need to be. Please do that. Please do that. Beautiful. It's so great to speak to you guys. We just started. It's going to get better. It's going to get more intense. And don't worry, next week we are going to listen and see some of your videos. We are going to be doing that. And so if you want some screen time, make sure you send a video, do your homework, send it to Calls for Children's Gmail address. Make sure you send it latest by 6 o'clock on Friday, so there's enough time to incorporate it into here. But I wish you absolutely all the best. I'm really looking forward to spending these next couple of weeks with you and pushing you to excel. Do not forget the information I was telling you about your body language and your attitude and your facial expressions. It's not just speaking the Queen's English that's going to make you stand apart. If somebody was to look at you now, what would they think of you? That's what you need to think about, okay? So thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. Thank you all. So I'll be seeing you at the same time next week, okay?
Yeah, thank you very, very much, everyone. I'm sure we've had an amazing time. We've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from this session. And just like Juliana promised, next week is going to be packed. I'm looking forward to it. I've learned a lot, and yeah, I'll be putting them to practice. So next week again, 4 p.m., that's the time. And we will be we'll be taking this to another level. So thank you very much for joining, and enjoy this lovely sunny afternoon. Bye. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.